This is my prop. Hello, everybody. How many of you feel that you're here, but your mind is somewhere else? You can raise your hand. Not yet. Okay, have you ever felt that in your life? Okay, that's good. I actually felt that my entire life. So growing up, I felt a deep disconnect between my mind and my body, and also my heart. If truth be told, I actually felt like this broken vase over here. And I always felt that there was a part of me that was broken and I had to find it somewhere. And for me, that broken part, holistically, was happiness. So I was searching for happiness wherever I was going, growing up. And so I stumbled on theater. And I found a lot of joy and felt really happy, which actually led me to my MFA. You can see me over here. If you can spot me, good luck. So I did my MFA in theater and interdisciplinary digital media. And I remember that the first mixer that we had with all the other grad students, one of the grad students asked me, "So why are you here?" And I said, "I want to be happy." And I still remember his face. He was bamboozled. He was like, "Who's this silly girl who wants to be happy over here?" Everybody around me was saying they want to be part of this XYZ theater company, or they want to make this production, or they want to do that or this. And here I was saying that I want to be happy. Was I able to find happiness in those 3 years? In my performance classes, which I took for 3 years, 3 hours every week, twice a week actually, I did find a lot of joy and a lot of happiness. And the essence of that is what I teach in performing narrative. This is the opening line of the syllabus for performing narrative. I feel that the growth of an artist as a person and as an artist are tied together. And that is what I'm trying to hit at through this course. I feel that if this blob over here represents a human being, that what I'm trying to achieve is this vertical connection through mind, body, heart alignment, which leads to connection within the community, with the community. And in this case, the community is the classroom, the students in the classroom, which eventually leads to forming an ensemble, a term used in theater parlance, denoting individual agency as well as collaboration with the group. So let me walk you through some of the course building blocks. So if this is a staircase, one thing building on top of the other, we begin with the element of play. Everything for us in the class begins with play, something that we forget as we become older. So play is the foundation of the course. We work with body, heart, mind alignment through meditation, yoga. We want to deeply listen to ourselves, our bodies, and also to the people around us. That in turn helps us to trust each other in the group and also respect each other. We work with consent to touch, for example, that you cannot touch the other person without taking consent. If they say no, we accept that without feeling insulted or reprimanded. We wear black in the classroom, everybody, including me, every day whenever we show up, as a ritual that we are showing up to class without hierarchies, removing our social strata hierarchies, and becoming part of the group that we are a part of. This forms the foundation of the course. This later on leads to physical virtuosity, and for that I use 2 theater modalities, and I'll walk you through what those are. Viewpoints and moment work, and I'll walk you through what those are. As we do that, we also work with intuition, working with the intuition, the gut, instead of the cerebral chatter or what's happening in the mind. And that doesn't mean that thinking is bad. But what I'm trying to do is I really want to unlock the students' intuition. What if I give them a crunch time to work in, bypassing what they have to think before doing something and really going into the gut? Oh, I just felt like doing it. What if they just say that? And that's what I'm really trying to hit at. This leads to experimentation with the body and also the elements of the stage. Later on, leads to collaboration with the group. And in the end, we culminate in device theater performance, a 5-minute piece that students have to make in groups or solo. So let me walk you through these bit by bit. So the first thing that I had mentioned was the viewpoints. What is the viewpoints? It's a theater modality used for improvisation, developed in the 1970s in New York, comes from postmodernism, where we open the bodies and experience movement through time and space. Now, what do I mean by time? So my prop over here, my dear water bottle will help. So what do I mean by tempo? Tempo is the speed with which I do something. What if I lift this bottle really slowly? What if I lift it really fast? Both motions are more or less the same, but the intention changes with my interaction, with my speed, with the prop. That is tempo. The duration is actually how long I stay in that tempo. So when I was going over there really, really slowly, that is my duration. Kinesthetic response is my voluntary or involuntary response to emotion outside of me. You might have felt that if somebody claps in front of your eyes blink, that's an involuntary response of the body. But you can also have a voluntary response of the body. So the bodies in space, as we work through viewpoints, can give stimuli to each other to change their movement, and that is kinesthetic response. With repetition, what we do is that if we have made a movement, we made it ourselves, so there's internal repetition. I can keep on repeating it. So it's something that I'm doing right now. I'm repeating my gesture. This is internal repetition. Let's say somebody in the group, one of you make a gesture and I repeat it. That is external repetition. So viewpoints of space is we work with shape, gesture, spatial relationship, architecture, and topography. With shape, what we do is that my body is actually making a shape, a silhouette. When that shape is in motion, that is a gesture. When that gesture and that shape are in relationship to each other, when different bodies embody them, that is a spatial relationship. And when we have a relationship with the architecture of the space, that is what architecture means. And all of it is encapsulated in the topography. So this is how we make movement, abstract movement, which opens the body in a culture where we are always told to close our legs, to make sure that we don't have a lot of gestures, we don't move a lot. So this is an invitation to open up and really experience your body. We also work with Lecoq's pedagogy, who's a French movement director. And what I do primarily with the students is element work. How would your body feel if you move like a particle of dust? How would your body move if you were a mountain? How would your body move if you were a tiny stream of water, or a water droplet for that matter? How would your body move if you were a tsunami? All of that gives the students the vocabulary to experience their bodies even more. I built that so you can actually see some of the abstract movements that you can see on the stage. When you look at it from the outside, a person might be, oh, I don't know what's happening really. But the students this is a workshop session that you can see over there. And that's what they are doing, experimenting with elements, experimenting with viewpoints. Another theater modality that we use is moment work. So what we do over there is we dissect the elements of the stage, prop, lights, costume, sound, and text. We know traditionally what happens is that there is the hegemony of the script. Script leads the way. Everything happens. Everything stems from the script. My costume, my prop, my lighting, my sound will be dictated by the script. But what we do is that we dissect the elements of the stage and we say, heck yeah, we're going to see each one of them and we're going to analyze each one of them, experiment with them, perform with them one moment at a time. So viewpoints and moment work, they both combine and lead to device theater. Now the thing is, what is this device theater that I've been ranting about? So device theater is basically a term used to denote a creative process in which we land on the script through improvisation and collaborative group work instead of beginning with the script, something that I mentioned earlier on, the hegemony of the script. We want to topple that. So this is all good so far, I hope. But you would be wondering, what kind of assignments do I give the students in this class? So this is the first assignment, and we do a lot of performance assignments in class. The first assignment is called The Story of My Life, where the students have to depict the story of their life with a beginning, middle, and end, within 4 minutes. So they can begin with the time they were born to the time which is now, the present moment. And I've seen that this is a very, very uncomfortable situation for them when I introduce this assignment to students, because they don't know where to begin. And they also are really, really performance shy. They don't want to show their lives in front of people who are actually strangers to them at that point in time. But this is a really, really good icebreaker, because once they break this ice, they're able to connect with their peers far more than ever before. I've had students come up to me and say, oh, because we did this exercise, we were able to connect better with our peers. And that is really, really the foundational exercise that lays the groundwork for the later work that we do in the class. We also do a visual journal tied in with this exercise. So this is an example of a visual journal. You can see a student has just splurged all the images that they were fascinated by. The idea is that the visual journal then leads them to create their performance, the story of my life. I also have exercises where I want the students to watch shows like The Wicked Bodies or In and of Itself, shows which already exist on YouTube and streaming services. And they can actually watch it and think back on how their process is evolving. Recently, I also assigned them shows which are contemporary from Pakistan, talking about issues from Pakistan, later having a conversation with the director, assigning that video to the students, and letting them see into the process of how directors devise their shows. How does feedback, you might be wondering, look in this class? I remember one of my teachers, Liz Lerman, who's a choreographer, now a Guggenheim Fellow, she once said to me that she doesn't want to make clones of herself. And I realized that I hold this value really close to my heart. So I tell my students to meet where they're at, instead of pushing themselves needlessly or thinking that, oh, I can't do XYZ movement because that person can do it and I feel tiny because of that. I don't encourage that in class. So what I tell my students is that meet where you're at. And I also, at the same time, tell them when there is more in them and they're not letting it out. It could be that we are doing a voice exercise and they're not letting in the entirety of the air out. And I tell them and go up to them and tell them that let that air out. Give me your entire thing. I also tell them to just try something. What if we go out there and try something new, something that we might think otherwise would be a stupid thing to do, but in that class, that's completely justified. You can do it. We also follow a more rigorous way of giving feedback through the critical response process, also developed by Liz, which has a more regimented way of giving and receiving feedback. So we begin with, number one, giving statements of meaning, things that actually worked in the performance. The performer then has the opportunity to ask us any questions that they might have. Then we, as audience, have the opportunity to ask them any questions, and then we can also give them an opinion at the end. I had mentioned the Porcelain Vase in the beginning, and I don't know if you still remember it, but I want you to remember that porcelain vase one more time. So the performance exercise that we do in the porcelain vase case is that I ask my students to huddle together as a team and make the porcelain vase. Immaculate, beautiful, on the top shelf, looking gorgeous. Looks like this. And then I tell them that, lo and behold, an earthquake happens and the porcelain vase is on the ground, broken into pieces. And it looks like this. And then I tell them that bit by bit, I'm piecing the porcelain vase together through glue, and now it looks like this. And somehow when I look at this image, I feel that it's far more intricate, far more in contact with each other than it was at the beginning. I find this image of the porcelain vase to be very, very resilient and strong than ever before. And somehow that gives me a lot of hope. Because what I feel is that we are actually not broken, that I am not broken. I'm just healing, and theater is helping me do that. And it can do the same for you. Thank you.